Call to order. Roll call.
Craig?
Yes.
Jody? Yes. Walt?
Yes.
Jill? Chris?
Yes.
Dylan? Dana?
Public forum. Just remember what's on the agenda. You can speak on. Ron, you can go first.
Did you say me? I can hardly hear you. Okay.
Would you like to go first?
Sure. Maybe I wasn't ready yet, but I don't know. Approval updates to staff and student handbooks. Looking at cell phone updates, I hope that the cell phone updates look the same for the student as it does for the staff. That it's on the same consequence level, and I'm all for taking the cell phone out of the classroom, but I hope that the teachers follow that same path also.
Anything else? Okay. Richard?
Since there's no talking point list under administration agenda, line item of which Chapter 21 requires, I will assume this will fall under this item, as items are notoriously hidden within this update. A petition is already circulating to place the $7 million referendum on the ballot. The Facilities Committee has not met for 3 months, updating project choices and costs, yet a $7 million referendum without committee oversight or updated cost analysis is advancing. Meanwhile, Easton Valley carries more than $19,000 of debt per student. Asking voters to approve more debt without current committee evaluation is irresponsible. The district is purchasing math curriculum materials and training when during board discussion in 2023, a board member asked if the curriculum included this. Mr. Fee answered affirmatively. What happened? Further, the current curriculum process violates board policy 602.03. That policy requires the superintendent to, quote, keep the board appraised of curriculum evaluation activities and develop administrative regulations for curriculum evaluation, including recommendations to the board. Documented evaluation data with strategic recommendations are missing. The board is not receiving or demanding the required updates from the superintendent. Based on continued incompetence, resignation of the board and superintendent are in order.
The only thing I got is I'm glad to see the greenhouse updates and the facility master plan updates. I think monthly we should still continue that, whether we go to a gym or whichever, as we go with building or whichever, we need to have updates monthly. I know everything isn't on the contractor. I heard some's from Klinger also, so I'm not trying to get down on anybody, but I'm looking out for the school. I want to make sure they get what we paid for. And I don't want to be hard on anybody. I'm looking for us, okay? So when we go to this gym or whichever, I still will diagnose it and make sure that we're getting what we're paying for, okay? That's all I got.
Board member request. Consent agenda.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second. Probably moved by Jody, second by Chris to approve the consent agenda. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Open enrollments, personnel.
Also, personnel, recommending the hire of a at-risk coordinator who's going to be primarily focused here at the elementary building. They will be collaborating and working in conjunction when in a crisis situation or things come up at the junior high and high school building. But this individual will be focusing here in the school. We did have a team interview this applicant that we're recommending. They have a counseling license and an extensive background working with that those students. And the significant amount of teaching experience that they're going to be bringing to our school. Mr. Daniels was very diligent in working with his committee that was a part of the interviews. It contained several different staff members from social worker to special education, general education teacher, our HR director, and more. That were all involved in this, as well as our previous outreach coordinator was able to shed some light and provide some insight. But Mr. Daniels looked for input from that committee as far as structuring what the role and responsibilities are for this individual as it may impact like the role of the counselor versus the role of the social worker. He was able to put together a document that clearly articulates what those responsibilities are, shared that with the team, and ultimately honored the input that was shared by his staff members. So I just appreciate his diligence and the time and thought that he put in on the front end to ensure that we have clearly defined roles and responsibilities for everybody to work within and to work together as a team as we serve those kids. So beyond that, just also recommending the hire of an elementary paraeducator, Audrey Winkler, and then we also completed some custodial interviews today that was replacing Larry Ehlers, and we have a new name, Dawn Borman, who the committee recommended to me this afternoon following those interviews. Any questions?
Crafted by Chris, seconded by Walt, to approve personnel as presented. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion
Joe Dillon, all in favor? Personnel? Thank you.
Presentation and updates of the greenhouse.
Yeah, I wanted to come in tonight, try to keep it as upbeat as possible, but I've kept a pretty tight lid on things from the word go on this project. We were getting criticized pretty much right out of the gate, which is, to be expected. So what I wanted to do quick is just kind of give a clear presentation of our company, who we are, what we want to do, where we're headed, because there's been quite a few accusations that we get balled up into. So some of you guys know, great. Some of you guys don't. Now you're gonna. We average about 50 to 60 employees in this region. We travel all across the Midwest, working in agricultural facilities, whether that's process plants, grain handling, fertilizer facilities. So we do a lot of industrial construction, a lot of marine construction, and we're also developing another side of our company where we transload products that come in via barge or we ship products out. So pretty exciting times in our company's history. And it all kind of hinges around agriculture. So that's why when we saw this project coming out, we really wanted to be part of this district and, show our customer base, hey, we're gonna go above and beyond to try to help get kids engaged in agriculture, do what we can do to, be a viable partner across the board. So a lot of our customers are basically your big corporate ag folks, ADM, CHS, Cargill, Bunge, all those guys. We travel from the Twin Cities to the Gulf of Mexico doing work for them, normally running about 7 crews. We don't build greenhouses. We build metal buildings, some. We hate when we do it. We are not a building contractor. We're not here to pretend to be a building contractor. But we've got a great team of people that really is committed to putting out quality work, despite what some of the emails that have come your guys' way over the last year have said. With that, greenhouse has taken way too long to build. Absolutely. Hate it as much as you guys do. Wish it was done last fall. I kind of threw together kind of a quick timeline here. We don't have to waste a whole lot of time on it. If you have questions, I've got some pretty specific dates. But basically it boils down to on 7/9, that's when we kind of held our kickoff meeting. We had gotten that building moved out of the way. We were ready to start doing some dirt work. So we met with Klinger on site to kind of get the ball rolling. So after that, we started some dirt work. Did not agree with some of the elevations. Spent some time working through that with them on, we would like to have seen the building go up a foot, but with the ADA requirements and stuff with the ramp going down to the concrete, they said we could only do 6 inches. So we tweaked it around a little bit, just trying to make sure we had that building up high enough that it wasn't in a ponding issue, down the road. So we spent some time on that. Obviously, you guys are aware of the kind of the timeline. We poured the footings on the 13th of September. Walls were poured on the 16th. That is when we started getting some questions. The greenhouse manufacturer supplied helical and epoxy style anchors for their anchoring system. We reached out to Klinger several times, and again, they were great to work through with this, so this isn't a down on them at all. They were trying to do help what they could, keep their costs down, do everything we could, because at the end of the day, that was everybody's goal: do this thing as absolutely cost effective as possible, or this project never would have happened, never would have got launched. So we worked back and forth with them some, trying to get that nailed down, how we wanted to handle that. We weren't really getting answers. The greenhouse manufacturer was more than comfortable with moving forward with their system, so we proceeded forward, trying to stay on as best the timeline as we could, because our construction schedule, we really wanted to be building that greenhouse in October, November. That's when we had it slotted for our team to be able to do that work. Roughly around October 11th, that's when concerns started coming in. We basically said we're not comfortable moving forward. We dropped an anchor on the job right then, and basically just had to wait for Klinger to come back to us. There was quite a bit of back and forth on primarily the anchoring system. At that point in time, it was blatantly clear that Klinger had not even produced as-built or for construction drawings. So we basically said we're not moving forward. We've tried to do this as best we can to keep the ball rolling. So one of the things that we were cited on, or that was brought up, is that we missed our completion date. We didn't even have construction drawings until the 19th of November. So we had already missed 90% of our construction window at that point in time. So that was a major issue. But after we did that, after we got to that point, we were able to kind of start pushing forward. Scheduling wise, we were on an outage for December, end of November, December, and January at 8 a.m. We had guys working 24/7, 7 days a week for 2.5 months. It just was a terrible fit for us at that point in time. So we were a major cause of the slowdown for December and January, just because of our own scheduling. Let's see, what else did I have? Yeah, we started late January is when we really started to erect the building. Kind of the rundown, just the high level overview. When we bid the job, I brought a little, this is the original bid packet. It didn't really consist much of the actual greenhouse. There was some generic drawings of the greenhouse. They were still working on finalizing those drawings. I talked to the manufacturer, basically, hey, how does this thing go together? Oh, if you've done pre-engineered metal buildings, you'll have no trouble. It's easy, nothing to it. It's easy, no problem. Okay, all right, we're good. So we kind of knew where the budget needed to be for the school to be able to pull it off. Okay, yeah, we can. Let's go with it. So we went ahead and submitted our bid. We've been called out as it's not a wise choice to use the least expensive contractor. That one frosted me, because we were the least expensive, because we knew what we thought the school could pull off just from attending these meetings and kind of knowing where the FFA was at, what the school was going to be able to put in, and basically it's dollars and cents where we're at. So we were not trying to be a low contractor. We knew we were going to lose money on this job when we took it. We were fine with that. We wanted to support the program. So just a little snapshot of what that looks like. When we bid the job, we put about $41,000 in labor in it. That's a week and a half, 2 weeks of work. Okay, that's 544 man hours. We thought, we're not going to completely die. We get in there, this thing goes together pretty easy. It's not a very big building. Okay, to date we've got 2,674 man hours in it. That's $205,000, $205,898 in labor. We have not issued the school a change order. We're not going to issue the school a change order. We've stood by our work. We've stood by our craftsmanship. We've stood by our number to make sure that the kids have a quality building while being attacked by people and constantly having our name dragged through the mud, and that's frustrating. So we've stuck with it, just, you know, because again, we're committed to this program and we want to see this building, you know, be a success. One thing I would suggest, don't ever buy a package deal, and I haven't even talked to Adam about this. Hopefully, if it's not paid for, then maybe we got something, but if it is, that was a problem. So just a learning lesson, if we're going to buy a package deal like that, don't pay for that whole building until we're done putting it together. Because we had hundreds of hours either refabricating components, waiting on components, repainting components, cutting sheets that were supposed to be custom fit wall panels that weren't even close to right, so then they just have to send us generic stock. There was a lot of that stuff that went on. Not the school's problem, not the kids' problem, it's just a problem we had to deal with. So we worked through all that. Let's see what else I got here. Yeah, so that is kind of what has transpired to bring us, you know, to today. We're proud of the work. We're proud of the craftsmanship. I get some folks in the community think it's trash. That's fine. If there's something that's not right, if Klinger has an issue with any of the compliance, we'll stand behind that. Our subs have done a nice job. They should be proud of their work. In doing this project, I've spent a lot of time looking at greenhouses, some by Grossman, some by others, just while I've been out and about. Nobody probably travels the country more than I do. We've got the nicest one I've seen yet. So I just wanted to take a minute, kind of stick up for myself on that. Hit the high level stuff. I'm more than willing to answer questions. If you guys have specific questions, I'll answer them to the best of my ability. I wasn't super hands-on on the project, so I can try, or if not, I can get you answers. So if there's anything specific that you want to know, I can find out for you.
In the beginning there, you said that Klinger was good to work with, but it sounds to me like they were terrible.
Well, what it boils down to, you could attest to this a little bit too, is they were trying to kind of do the same thing we were. You know, like, hey, we're going to come in here. We know we're going to take it in the shorts, but to get this done, this is what we got to do. So they were really high level. You know, like.
I appreciate that, but it sounds to me like they tied it up. Would you agree with that?
We did not have our construction drawings as quick as we could. Joe, who is involved with the school here heavily, awesome to work with. He and I had a good, we were working back and forth via phone. Everything was going fine. When all the complaints and concerns came in, that's when it's like, stop. We have to stop. We have to get this nailed down. Then we bring their engineers in, that's a whole nother, you know, anybody that's worked with engineers, you know what I'm saying? That's a whole nother level of just complexity, you know. So that's when it really slowed down, because they wanted cast and place anchors, basically is what it boiled down to. The greenhouse manufacturers, like, we've never seen that. We've never done that. Plus, we didn't have the finalized greenhouse design. We changed the doors 4 times where the doors are going to be at. We did not have a final design. The greenhouse is good. We use epoxy and helical anchors on our jobs all the time, so we have no trouble with it. Where we really hit the slowdown is their engineer was like, absolutely not. You know, and so it was like, what do you mean absolutely not? I think you were on some of those calls. I was about ready to come unhinged. You know, I'm like, this is insane. I mean, we're not building the Sears Tower here. You know, I mean, this is a small structure. If it takes a direct hit by a tornado, there's going to be parts all through Preston. You know, I mean, it's a greenhouse. That's all there is to it. So that's really where the slowdown was. So yeah, there was some frustration there. But again, I think that, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I don't want anybody to have a bad taste with Klinger. That's not my goal in this. I'm just trying to give you a real description of what we kind of have endured over the last, 10 months here getting this thing done. They really didn't want to have any, they wanted to have very minimal costs in it, whereas they used their boilerplate language, so then that opened up areas for, hey, who's doing construction oversight, who's doing this? They're like, oh, that's not us. Well, you're doing it. No, I'm not doing it. You know what I mean? And then it was just kind of a revolving door. So it kind of started in good faith, and then it just kind of escalated there, pretty quickly, I would say. And that cost us about a month there, mid-October to mid-November. And then by the time we got out of it, I mean, you can't get anything done between between Thanksgiving and Christmas, in our world, I mean, we can barely keep the crew going, because everybody's got vacation and all of that. So that's that's a hard window of time for us, as a small contractor. And then with our major commitments, we had major outages at truck receiving at 8 a.m. And I mean, that's just, there's just no flexing around on that one. So,
I guess I don't really care what the naysayers think. I sure appreciate it.
Yep.
I think you guys do a great job. Your man hours there, that is a staggering number. So I think you deserve a good thank you.
well, I'm not here for a thanks. I mean, really, honestly, I'm not. We had inefficiencies on our part. The next one we would do it faster, I'm sure. But there was a lot of stuff, when the manufacturer says, it basically puts itself together, I should have been like, maybe not, but then just, there'd be brackets that aren't punched right, and we'd call them and say, hey, this makes this wall tweak this way, or this truss leans this, it's fine, that's fine. They all do that, and I went to Morrison, and they have a gross span building at Morrison, and if you look down the ridge, it's a corkscrew. And it's a corkscrew because these exact plates that we refabricated make the trusses grow in length. And so the ridge corkscrews. It's just stuff like that, you know what I mean? So we just wanted it to be, it's not perfect. Kids are going to go in there and have stuff scratched up and banged up so fast it won't even be funny. That's fine. But it's really close, you know what I mean? And it's something that looks good. And as long as it's maintenance, it is by far the nicest greenhouse I've seen in the schools that I've gone to. And quite honestly, I don't know that the ag department and the FFA and all them really I don't think they wrapped their head around what they were getting, with all the power louvers, power curtains, power this, automated that, it's a sophisticated system. So anyways, that's my 2 cents. And then I just wanted to thank the subs, County Line Concrete. Quint did a great job, Gruen Electric. I think they're pretty much done with electrical. I was trying to get a call into them today and didn't. I think they've got some fire detection stuff yet to do. Total Comfort, they got us hooked up with all that. They're, I think, pretty much done, I believe. So, then River Valley Co-op is hooking us up with black dirt, so that's why it's going to look unfinished for just a little bit. They donated the black dirt off that Lowmore job site. So they're using it for some compaction right now. So as their project progresses, then we're going to go ahead and get some pretty nice dirt down there. So we'll haul that in. And then Brian and Carrie, Hograber and Hunter, they had a better part of a week there with their pan helping us, move that over dig that we had to do. So everybody worked great together. Oh, Eastern Iowa, don't want to forget him. Brandon did great. So yeah, that's what I got.
Appreciate all you've done. I know the staff and students are eager and anxious to get in and start using it, and we're eager to see them out there. So it's going to be a great addition. And we'll work with you on some of the dirt and moving stuff around and making it pretty.
Yeah, we'll stick by and finish making it look nice and everything. I'm not in a huge hurry on that. We wouldn't want to see it till fall anyway, so they were using that to compact one of their building pads. So, I'm guessing 1st of September we'll go over there and start hauling some dirt out and dress it in, and then we'll seed out behind the football field too. There needs to be a little bit of touch-up work back there, but that'll all get handled. Maybe some rock or something on some of the steeper slopes, that kind of that stuff. But we'll stick with it until it's all fit and finish is nice. So.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you everyone else that helped you on the project. Moving on.
Done.
Thank you. Approved math curriculum.
We're going to touch on, we did the facility master plan updates.
Facility plan updates first.
Nice try, Craig. Nice try. So wanted to just have an opportunity to speak with board members, just to update everybody. I know I've spoken with a few of you, and you had good questions for me, so I just wanted to make sure we had an opportunity to kind of explain some details related to the petition and the financing, and answer any questions that everybody might have. I know that I've had some questions come my way about kind of the procedural steps that we've taken, and so just a real quick recap of all of that. As you know, we had a facility advisory committee that met for roughly a year. And in that process, they provided input. We looked at a lot of different variations of what our needs are and how to meet those needs, and ultimately came up with a draft of a facility master plan. within that master plan, we kind of phased out different components. The architect group we worked with assigned some projected costs for each of those phases. And we brought that to the board for all of you to review and approve probably about 3 months ago. Following that time, we had some new information come our way from the state financial advisor, who advises us on how we can fund projects, what's available, and what the best strategic approach is to take. Earlier on, we were talking about potential of approaching this in a way that we would need to get a question on a ballot to fund that first phase, which was projected at roughly $8.5 million. And in order to do that, it was essentially going to take a combination of a couple of pots of money, and I'll invite Adam to jump in here in just a second to elaborate a little bit, but essentially we're looking at some of our PEP 1% funds that we currently have available, combined with what we can generate through a general obligation bond that would keep the $2.70 levy rate where it is, so not increasing taxes, and essentially generating funding by hitting that reset button and extending that for 20 years, which we had originally borrowed against. And so in order to do that, it would take a 60% yes vote on an election question. And in order to get that question on an election ballot, it takes a petition that is a community-led process, and the petition needs to be presented to the board. That it has to consist of at least 25% of the last participating electorate in our last general election. So in our last school election, we had 1,142 voters who voted for that election. So 25% of that is essentially 286 people. And so in order to get that question on the ballot, we have to have our community generate signatures on a petition that surpasses that 286 mark, bring it to a board meeting, and recommend that that be placed on the November election. And so just to recap quick, we had that community input process. The board approved it. We have a plan in place. We met with financial advisors to determine how we can fund that. And then we had a community member approach a board member that said, hey, we're ready when we have this information. How soon can we get it? So I contacted our bonding attorney and said, I sent our bonding attorney, here's our master plan. We want to focus on phase 1, and we want to know, what the petition language would need to look like as far as what needs to be included in that language. And then we also connected that bonding attorney with the state financial advisor who passed on the information on the finances. So, Adam, do you mind just speaking to the financial components of that a little bit?
Nothing's changed with the financing of the project really, other than what the question would end up reading. When we first looked at it, and it's probably close to a year ago now, it was still always the option of either doing a larger amount of money, which would take a $4.05 bond referendum. The facility committee and multiple board members have kind of mentioned that they felt that wasn't probably going to be in the best, the community wasn't going to have an appetite for a $4.05 bond referendum, which would essentially be a $1.35 tax increase if we currently have a $2.70 levy that we pay to pay off the debt from the elementary school here. The catch with that was, at that time, it made the most sense because information we were receiving, kind of suggested that interest rates would, potentially be at or less than what we borrowed or sold the bonds for this project. So it's going to be, have a question for the 270 levy, but the question is still going to have to say, like a $12 or $13 million dollar amount, because it would have to pay off the existing bond to refinance it in with the new project we're doing to get the new total for $2.70 for each 20-year period. Since then, I've worked closely with Nigel Estate at Piper Sandler, and we calculated that, and it does not appear that interest rates will be lower, so it is not advantageous to refinance a bond and pay higher interest than what you're paying now. It makes more sense to keep that one in place and only have that one plus one new one. So the question will be a lesser dollar amount. It will be the just shy of $7 million amount to be able to give us a $5.3 million per project cost after all the fees and bonding costs are established. Those amounts can all vary quite a bit. If something crazy happens, if a vote passes and the Fed comes out and reduces interest rates by quite a bit and the bond market's more favorable for sellers, then obviously they have more money for, construction costs. And nothing's changed with our couple. We can, as the years go by, we have less of a time frame to borrow against it because it's a 10-year cycle. So every year we get closer to 10 years, we're one last year. But we have been keeping cash on hand too and not spending it on stuff. So we still have roughly around $3 million of projects that we can do with a couple of ones. Those two combined together are still going to give you somewhere in $7.5 to $8 million of the project that we can do. And you would have a 270 levy in place for another 20 years. But we will continue to keep that separate from our existing GO line first payment. That's why there would be a difference in the dollar amount of the question. Does that make sense? Any questions?
What's the maximum? 7 days of
So you have there's a statutory debt limit that you can get up to, and within that, there's amounts based on calculation of expected property growth of your property valuation. So you can't just arbitrarily put out a number and say, well, we want a 270 levy, but we're going to ask the community for a 10. There has to be justification behind it. When they do all that, they put together a bunch of documents that go to state level folks that provide approval and review on it before it ever goes. So that's why you have that cost of bonding attorneys and underwriters and stuff like that. It's also has to be double checked to make sure it's allowable under state law. And then one thing with our capital note, if we would go the project would pass into the capital note, one thing that we have had success doing, we've had a good partnership with our local banks. They're not as complex of a bond sale because it's already here, we're already collecting that every year. We know what we have. There's maybe a little bit of variance if our property goes a little bit more than what we think it's going to be. We're going to take on a little bit more money. But it's still pretty safe for a local bank to take on this guaranteed money to them. And we've reached out in the past and we'll probably do this over the future. And I would do that sale kind of on my own with a plan when we have a little bit of involvement. We don't done it in the past. It's, allow us to probably keep close to $100,000 more for projects versus paying bonding attorneys and underwriters. We've done it twice successfully. I think we can do that again.
So after hearing about interest in circulating a petition, and contacting our bond attorney for what that petition language would look like, I connected with Seth, who's the chairperson of the Facility Advisory Committee. I ran it by him. I shared with him what our bond attorney was recommending for that language. I kind of updated him on some of those financial implications and what that meant. And I shared with him that community members were ready to start circulating that. So we talked about, do we need to have a meeting with our Facility Advisory Committee? And the question that he and I kind of bounced back and forth was, like, for what purpose? The committee already met. They made the recommendation on the phase project. The board approved that. Then the committee, it's a committee-led process, to generate that petition and bring it to the board. And so we kind of agreed that let's send that out to the committee so that everyone is aware that it's a part of that process. They're aware the petition is going around. They're updated on some of those financial things. And our plan was that assuming the community generates the 286 signatures, brings it to the board passes that. Then our advisory committee would meet once again to talk about efforts that we can take collectively to educate and inform the community about the question that would be going on the ballot in November. So that's where we're at.
I do think it would be helpful to get your community group together, maybe potentially unified. And then when they bring the petition and they get the signatures, I'm assuming the board's going to pass it because that's just putting it out to the community to vote and let them make up their mind.
Correct.
Well, that was misconstrued last bond referendum we had at some of the meetings by certain original city.
Is it necessary that committee be divided?
Well, they should at least know what's going on and go out and get signatures and petition. Or feel included, however you want to say it.
But through the process, the consensus within the community committee.
Yeah,
Although it
yeah,
wasn't,
that recommended
although it
it.
wasn't 100% the majority.
Yeah, they recommended it, so at some point it has to come to the board, or if they would have brought it to the board and they'd have the signature, they gotta get the signature regardless, so.
How soon do you need more approval to get it?
I reached out to the auditor's office a couple times in the last week to get that information. Emailed them about a week ago, didn't hear back. Emailed again yesterday, maybe Monday, didn't hear back. So I called down there today, and Lisa, the auditor, is out of the office all week, so that's why I didn't hear. They were able to confirm the number for me, but they said she'll be back to the office next week, and she will give me all the deadlines so we make sure we meet, whatever timelines. I believe, Adam, was that the September 18th or 19th deadline that our bond attorney had? So there's
Right,
a
that's-
little timeline.
There's a little time, but I think there are probably some action items.
And quite honestly, I think the biggest timeline that we're up against is just the time to educate the community. I'm more worried about expediting it to ensure that we have the time to get out the actual information, to have the meetings, to just distribute all the facts. I think that's more critical than meeting the deadlines imposed by the county.
And educating our parents on what's happening through whatever school resources we have.
Yep.
Also is important.
Exactly, or those back to school events, things like that.
I mean, some of the stakeholders that are really.
Well, and I'm glad you said that, Joey, because, there are opportunities at the start of the school year where we do bring all our families back together. It's a great opportunity to get information into their hands. And so, if the community does come to board secretary with that required number of signatures, I would recommend that we meet a special meeting to act upon that as soon as possible. So if we're able to meet again before our August meeting, I think that'd be ideal to give us that time to educate them.
Anything else?
No, sir.
Math curriculum, resource, teacher training, is in the board.
So a couple years ago, we purchased a math curriculum resource and associated materials. That was a 2-year approval. So we went through that 2 years, and so the recommendation is for a renewal to extend our licensure and the necessary materials, workbooks, access to the software online, progress monitoring tools, and then the training that the teachers need. We have some new teachers since that initial adoption that we want to just make sure that they're updated on any nuances to the curriculum material. So it's not a new curriculum purchase. It's an extending of resources that we've had that we don't have access to because of that 2-year expiration. So the purchase I'm recommending today is a renewal of that 2-year commitment.
Properly moved and seconded by Walt, seconded by Joey to approve purchase of math curriculum resource and teacher training is in the board. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign.
Dylan and Joe.
Approve final reading of board policy 503.09, use of cell phone or electrical devices.
All right, so we had some conversation on this last month. Essentially, the major change from what we reviewed and discussed last month is just in that very first statement. The previous recommendation and consideration was banning the use of personal electronic devices, particularly in our junior high and high school, during instructional time. They're always banned during the school day in the elementary. And so at the board's recommendation, we have updated it to read that they may not use personal electronic devices during the school. So that is essentially defined as 8:15 to 3:15. And We'll get into some of our staff handbooks and such in a little bit to share with you what's been added to those in conjunction with the student policy.
Now, basically, is that you can't be on their body. So it says in their monitor whether they can possess a smartwatch, that cell phone, nothing from 8 to 15 to
From the public?
I just want to reiterate what Rhonda had talked about at the beginning of the meeting, that it's great that we're doing this for the kids, but the same thing needs to happen with the employees. And if that's a board policy or a new handbook policy, that definitely needs to happen, as I know some teachers and other individuals do use their electronic devices much more than they should be.
Anything else? Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the final reading of board policy 503.09, administration of electronic devices.
Properly by Chris, second by Walt, to approve purchase of, or not purchase, but final reading board policy 503.9, use of personal electronic devices. Any discussion? Seeing none, proceed to vote. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Dylan and Chris.
Oh, sorry. Yes. Dylan, yes. Joe, yes. Thanks.
Approve updates to staff and student handbooks, Exhibit 5.
Who wants to start? I figured we just kind of roll through. We don't have to necessarily hit on every little minute detail, but anything relevant for conversation or discussion.
Pull up or just click off real quick?
Yeah, I'll pull it up and.
Good news for me is I invited Brooke and Amber have like significant main changes, so I don't have to do more than talk about it. So yeah, on ours, the main thing I was going to talk through is just staff name and position. That's kind of like procedural updated pieces. Under the conduct and discipline, so keep going down, Mr. Fiedler, right there. So there used to be like this giant leader meeting matrix that was out of date. In fact, 2021 was the last time it had been used and applied. So at the end of the last school year, I think I might have mentioned in a previous meeting, we had all staff go together and basically kind of did like a gallery walk of sorts and updated. So this is basically I took out, it had this kind of pasted janky that didn't fit really well. So I just took this chart out and linked in our updated, if that makes sense, just to make it look good. Then I have these posters for every teacher, and then I actually have ones coming that are specific for the cafeteria, specific for the playground doors, and all that is, guys, is just bringing consistency in the way that all staff are responding to things. Last year we had a few scenarios where I did this, but I did this, and it created some confusion. So we went back and found some of that stuff from, I think, like 2021, it's the last time data had been used, etc. We updated as a whole staff, and then I got these for each room just so we can have some consistency. You can talk about the bus part, because buses are here too. So, and then the last thing that I did, if you go down, or that I was going to talk on in the elementary handbook, is just the cell phone feature we were just talking about. Keep going down. You can come back to that for you.
Yep.
I'll be honest, it was a little bit repetitive right there. Basically, all I did was add a sentence saying, because to be honest with you, oftentimes families are part of the problem, to be honest, because they would use phones on kids to get a hold of kids, and that was their way. So I was a little bit repetitive, but I added a sentence under there that said, parents need to notify students during school hours should do so through Peggy in the office. There's a sentence after it that says something like, it'll be delivered from to students from the office, so I just kind of have like a clarity sentence, like follow it through the office. So it wasn't a huge thing, that was just one of the main things that I would say that we can make. In terms of me making updates to our handbooks. I think those were kind of the three main, you're just doing students right now, I guess.
Correct.
So those are the three main. And then Brooke is going to speak on behalf of some of the at-risk team that coordinated and made some updates to some policies like diversion. And Amber was going to talk about some of the bus updates that we had. So, you guys have questions for me on any of those things? Brooke, you want to go? Well, maybe Amber goes first and just roll over transportation.
Yeah, I was trying to do a screen share for Joe and Dylan, but it sure isn't very conducive.
The specific ones are still coming, but you can use this with instructors. I got specifics.
Perfect. Thank you, Joe. Amber, you taking it away?
So on the transportation side, we did not have verbiage in there about people wearing seatbelts. I thought preschoolers, there was a law that they had to. That's what I had been told. I just got done with a 3-day training in the morning and found out that is not a law. They do not have to be in seatbelts, but I would like our school board policy to have 3-year-olds or the younger kids that can't touch the floor. They're sitting in a seat and that bus driver hits their brakes, miss a deer or anything. That child's gonna roll. So it's not necessarily we're going to enforce that every single child wears their seatbelt, but if it's a safety concern or also a behavior concern, then I would like it in our handbook to keep them safe. And quite honest, we have so many behaviors on the buses these days that we can put them in a seatbelt and we'll keep them in their spot and keep their hands to themselves. They're not in danger of causing any safety issues to the driver or other students. So that is a main concern of mine. I want to keep all of my buses safe. It's safe. I want everybody to get back and forth in one piece every day. I also found out in my training that there's a house file in addition to this personal cell phone use in schools. They're also going to pass legislation to extend it to school buses. That's not happening for the next year through legislation. So we'll have to look for that next year. But we have a lot of problems with kids keeping their cell phones up on high volume. That's a distraction to the driver. It's also a distraction causing other kids to tell them to turn them down or get involved in what they're doing on their cell phones. So I would like them to have to use earbuds, listening to music or games. Also, students are taking pictures of other students and videos and posting them on social media. And we didn't have verbiage in our handbook that stated this specifically. We just knew it was against district policy. So that needs to be clarified. Another thing, the family student contract for bus drivers. This is something that I've used for the last 12 years as a bus driver. I was trained, and at my training the last 3 days, this is something that needs to be out for parents to sign and read. I wanted to add it to the handbook, so therefore when they sign their sheet at registration stating that they've read the handbook, the student has read the handbook, my drivers don't have to hand this out individually to each student the first day of school and try to get it back from the parents. I know the parents signed the handbook form saying that they read it and they have to date it, so I wanted this in there as well. And then the only other thing I added was the best conduct report. So if parents haven't seen it, it is in our student handbook where they can see it and they will know what kind of verbiage and what kind of document you're using. It's a quadruple form. So when these are done, the parents do get the white copy notes in the mail. But I thought it was something that needed to be done. And then also the leader and me for the bus
discussion before?
Currently, no. That's why I wanted to add that line, for students to wear seatbelts, because that is not currently.
And all of our buses are fitted with seatbelts.
All of our buses have seatbelts.
I mean, I think that makes sense. Just, I mean, even as specific as if we do change the door, is that we know there's a benchmark.
Yes.
It's understood by everyone.
Yep.
Whereas age is a little bit more.
This past year with our preschool students that are 3 years and 4 years old, they're little, and they're sitting in the front seats, and the drivers know which ones will sit there. And usually those guys they're pretty good about sitting, but you got the little ones that want to sit on the outside, and they will tumble around. So it also helps with some behaviors. If you tell a student to sit in their seat 3 times and they don't listen, that 3rd time they need to level up because they're not sitting safely in their seats. And school buses are built for safety. Those seats are made the way they are to protect you. If you don't sit in them correctly, you are not sitting safely.
I mean, I think that can be added in the standard, I think that's the policy.
And the other big bulk change would be, I asked Brooke to come, so the at-risk team needs some stuff. Brooke's gonna talk about with like diversion program and safety response, so. Wanna talk about that, Brooke?
Yeah. The at-risk team created 3 different forms, just like protocols for us to follow when we're supporting students. Just because we have big hearts for these kids, we want to make sure that we're protecting us and the families in the district when we're responding. So we want to initiate 3 different policies.
Can you tell me where you want me to go with the first?
Yeah, can you scroll? Yeah, the first one is health concern. So that could be, it could be a number of things that we want to protect the student while they're at school, and we also want to educate our teachers when they're trying to support those students in the classroom. So it could be like our diabetic students, any students that might have seizures, those type of health issues. The at-risk team would create a plan together. They would collaborate with the school nurse, and it would stay confidential between the people that need to know. So it'd be the teacher, the student, the parent, and the at-risk team. And then the second one, Chris, is mental health. So these mental health plans change throughout the school year. This really emphasizes partnering with families during these situations to make sure that they understand what's happening with their student at school and at home, that we have access to several resources outside of the community that can help support that, and just helping communicate what that looks like. And then the third policy is safety. So students that have issues with self-harm, suicide, overdose, we want to create a plan that supports them in this building, so teachers know how to respond in situations. Those remain confidential as well and communicated with the families. So the at-risk team created this. We worked with our county attorney to make sure it met those guidelines as well. And we want your approval to put them in so that families know how we're responding and we're on the same page when we're responding to those situations.
That was all the evidence for that. Any questions or any concerns?
For these policies here, at what point are parents notified?
Right away.
Immediately.
Yep. Yeah, for the younger kids, we need permission to be able to meet with them and do that. And we want to be a teammate with that, so build those relationships. So those conversations are super effective when we offer these opportunities for them.
Okay. Excuse me if I jump in as high school student?
We're in charge of the program and all.
No, we're not doing the diversion yet. We're still working on it.
So I'm gonna start with page 20, way the program.
Okay. Sorry.
No, you're fine. So we'll start with that. So I think we're just gonna go ahead and go with this in our handbook. There's a between Officer Gruber, Brooke, and some other ones. We started talking last year about, Chad started talking about the diversion program, but just to help improve school safety, reduce drug use, suspensions, that kind of thing, give other options to help just stem some issues that might be going on with kids that are at risk or those types of things. It's not currently up and running yet. It's just some kind of conversational pieces there, but this just kind of lists some of the things that we're looking at, some of the groups that we're looking harder at, and hopefully start this sometime soon. But again, it's not something that's active yet. We just need to get in here so we can get rolling and look at it. So that way when we are and get them to push forward, that's all on. So that's just part of that diversion program. The other, the next is transportation, which you've already talked about. The next is cell phone use, which is the same thing you guys just passed here, so we can skip over that. Lunch prices, update on page 33. Mr. Queen just as an update there that says participation in band counts as a PE credit. We gave them this credit because of marching and things that are active registers around it. We're doing that so that we count for them through the fall sessions. If they're in band in the fall and then March every day in band, that would be the same activities that we participate in there. So they got that there. Participation. The next page down. Talks about employability skills and replacing the graduation requirement of personal finance with employability skills. So some of the things that were being covered in that personal finance class will also be covered in other areas within school. Employability skills will help us just get better focus on getting these life skills moving forward. Basically the same types of things are being taught, it's just which class we're in. So we can go to personal finance for that instead. Down the next page is updating things from Senior Year Plus. Senior Year Plus is a thing that's kind of controlled on this page. It's just basically the requirements of taking college level classes, online classes and things, specifying things that the state has put out there with eligibility criteria. They have meet enrollment requirements established by the secondary institution, which is CCC. They've got to take the prerequisites at Easton Valley before they can go anywhere else to take it. So that means that if we offer biology, they have to take our biology first before they can go take biology at CCC. They can't just opt out of the program and take the college for that one. And then just have to get approval before we do that. Proficiency. So this is going to be the big hitter there. The student must be proficient in reading and math and science on ISAPS test to be able to take those classes. If you're not proficient in one of those areas, the school board can establish an alternative equal qualifying performance measure to meet this expectation. It could be things like other state assessments, assessments provided by the college, student work, performance rubrics, and of course assessments. Those kind of things, those could help you qualify even if you didn't meet the proficiency in these ISAPS scores. I think that will also help give a little bit more teeth to our ISAPS testing, that they are trying and really thinking this footwork because you have to be proficient there to be able to work. I think a big look for me, so you want to take Comp 1 in college, are you proficient in English? Okay? If you're not proficient in English on the test and you're trying to take college level courses in high school, it doesn't really match up for us. So we're trying to help them be successful in that and give good effort on what we're doing as well. I think if they're trying to take Comp 1 and maybe they weren't proficient in math, instead of the story, it doesn't really correlate with what it's supposed to do. So it's going to be an individual basis. This would go into effect for the next year.
Does that apply to academy courses also?
I'm sorry.
Does that apply to the academy courses also?
CTE programs.
Yeah.
No, it's not. No.
So you're talking about the CCC?
CCC online, it was the only person who goes that way, not through the academies. Academies are a different story. This is just the online courses. So yeah, that's kind of the outline for that. What it is, basically it takes out GPA as the factor. We can't have GPA as a qualifier anymore. We used to 2.5 or whatever, we can't do that anymore. Across the board, everywhere, we're looking at other ways just to make sure that we get put them in a good spot to be successful. ACT dates are updated on that one. I think that covers it as far as what
All right, I'm going to pull up our staff handbook. Mr. Cruz, are you comfortable speaking to these?
Yep. So we start on page 2, right away. We have just to submit the seating charts and class lists to the principal each quarter. So when they're updated, that way we have current copies of where they're at, try to really put seating charts. So we just have a number of different things that those will be submitted each quarter as we go through. Page 4, number 29, that talks about teachers will not commit criticism of other staff members. That's already in there. Require students to address them. We really started working on this a lot harder last year. Mr., Mrs., coach, or their last name. At least to not using staff's first name as a call all the time. We really encourage that and try to work on that. We made progress and then slipped again. It's officially in here now for those things. The next one down, page 4, number 3, under business personnel. Students are not allowed to make phone calls from school phones or answer them. I think that would be something that would be just obvious, but we have a lot of kids that like to just, when the phone rings in the room, on the wall, they go answer it. Okay, they shouldn't answer it. And they shouldn't be calling other people's rooms. If they need to talk to a teacher, the teacher needs to talk to the teacher, say, hey, so-and-so has a question, can we talk to you? It's crazy how many phone calls we have over and over, so it's time to just get it. Some people's children in their adults. Number 24 on page 7. Back to staff usage of phones. There's such a model of appropriate behavior. Staff may not use the phone during instructional time. They need to check it during lunch before after school or passing. So once the instructional time hits, they are not to have their phone out. There will be disciplinary action failing. Bumping down to the top of page 9. Number 17, grades are updated weekly and posted weekly. That's just kind of this was an expectation there. It wasn't in the handbook before, but our teachers are expected to update those grades every week. Otherwise, the students don't know and the parents don't know what the kids are at. There shouldn't be any surprises. If they're going to receive a 0 for an assignment or a broken policy like plagiarism, something like that, or earning an F, the parents got to be notified by phone call and documented agency. We have to do a better job of our staff reaching out to parents and informing them what's going on and not just marking it in a grade book and moving on. We have to be proactive with that. Teachers, coaches, sponsors must use Apogee rooms or a ProShare for primary communication. We put that in. That was kind of the expiration last spring we moved into. Everybody's got to be using that. It should not be texting students. So they don't need to use that. They can use Apogee rooms. That's the way it should be. They also down here at the bottom here, with social media things that shouldn't be funding kids on Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram, TikTok, all of that stuff. So there's going to be some people that need to clean out their social media. They shouldn't be friends with them on there. The only exception there is if you're a family member, which we have family members of students that are there, that's a different story. We shouldn't have them all interacting on those platforms as well until they're done with high school. And if they were to follow rules and enforce, if they were to follow the rules for staff or enforce the rules for students, which would be like a big thing here with cell phones and things, where is all this money actually? With having cell phones not on their body or smartwatches not on their body, that means they're in a locker, in a bag, on there, we can't see them. It should be a lot easier for teachers, because if they see it ever, it's a call the office saying, let's get their phone. They don't have to collect them at the door anymore and try to work on that because they shouldn't be at all. School vehicle usage by staff. So again, they had to all update their licenses if they want to drive. We have to drive the vans. They'll have to give their copy of their ID to anywhere. Anything. There's forms now, and it has been over the last year. In every vehicle, they report the mileage. They're expected to fill it up when they're done on that. Side note, it would be very, very beneficial if we could ever get a gas barrel at the Preston. I think it would help them fix that too, because they were eliminating driving miles still on driving back. That's just something for the future. Sweet. Good deal. That'll make you it'll make a lot of people really happy. They're expected to keep the vehicle clean as well, go through it, make sure it's all taken care of there.
Okay, the last thing that I have, I don't know that we need to go on an extensive deep dive. But I do have updates that were recommended to us by the Daycare Advisory Board. Is that? Oh, is that what I had? Oh, that's why I didn't have it. It's highlights. All right, let's go back.
It won't take very terribly long. The only thing that I have changed in the elementary staff handbook was bullying, harassment, investigation, and contact set curriculum director previously. Mr. B asked me to update that to building principal. That's the only real change I made. And just for conversation's sake and knowledge piece, if you scroll down to like 23, 24 on page 7, Mr. B, nothing's been changed here, but if we need to have a conversation on it, when it comes to our staff cell phone that has been talked about frequently tonight and last week, 23 basically says teachers will consistently enforce all student handbook policies, including the cell phone use policy established in the school building, and then staff are expected to model appropriate use of cell phones in accordance with school board policy and student handbook expectations. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that's a little bit of gray there. I don't always love to play in the gray as much as we can avoid it. So I don't know if that's a future conversation now, but I didn't make any changes to any wording there. Nothing there was changed. I just thought I'd bring attention to that.
Where was that, Mr. Davis? What page?
Page 7, like numbers 23. The only thing that I changed was just updating that highlighted piece right there that basically said curriculum director's point of contact for bullying harassment, and that got changed to building. Small that change.
Thank you for catching that, Mr. Daniels. And so, as I was mentioning, Ms. Olson, along with the Daycare Advisory Board, they met in the past couple of weeks to do a deep dive and extensive review of the employee handbook. They made several updates. One of the things they were particularly looking at was the use of cell phones in the daycare. They did a lot of minor updating, just cleaning things up so that everything was relevant. We already had that advisory group review that, so I told them just as a formality I was going to bring that just to have that shared with the board. It's in your board folder, and that's all that we have for you for handbook updates tonight. Questions? Motion to approve the handbook updates as presented.
I'll make a motion to approve the update. Well, are we adding anything about seatbelts?
What was that?
Are we gonna add a line about seatbelts for the elementary, or the buses?
That was already- that was already-
That general statement should cover for elementary, and then that's something I train my drivers on.
Okay.
So I don't wanna put an age specific on it, because
But you do have like.
it's not age
Feet not hitting
specific.
the floor.
But
Where feet won't hit the floor. If your feet aren't hitting the floor, you should wear a seatbelt.
do you want that in there?
I think it would be a good standard.
There's also going to apply kids can't behave and sit if you're
Yeah,
going to
and-
hold three
I
times.
mean, that's always kind of been part of the policy.
And is that stated explicitly now?
No.
That's what we discussed.
Do you want it specifically stated, for behaviors
I
and
don't
if
think
you
you
can't
want
touch
to
the
see,
floor?
my kid was in seatbelt.
That's our expectation.
My kid was in seatbelt a lot.
Is that? Can you require them to wear their seatbelt?
Yes, seatbelt
If they're
is-
out of, you could, you could put it in as a stipulation in lieu of removal from the bus. So,
I think what you're asking was, her seatbelt was explicitly stated that she had that. Is that what you're asking? Or were you asking about feet?
The feet on the floor, specifically.
Not specifically in your seat, no.
I mean, I think it's a good policy to have. I mean, just especially like you said, that, you slap on the brakes on the bus.
That's how I train my drivers. If you wanted in there specifically to say that, I would put that in there. That is something when I'm training my drivers, that's what I tell them. If their feet can't touch the floor, when they're sitting in the seat like this, they need to be in a seatbelt. No questions. Because they're not able to control their body when they're that little in a school bus.
So does this say they have to wear them all the time? I mean, that's what that line
No.
says, right?
Shall wear is a little area, because they don't have to all the time. Like
So
the
shall
one-
and must.
Huh?
I mean, the
so pupils are encouraged to wear their seatbelts when they are present. However, if they have their feet not touch the floor or they are not abiding by safety expectations, they may be required.
Bus, I would put bus conduct rules, because that's what I use when I do my bus evacuation trainings with the kids. I specifically,
Mr. Dennis, I don't have access to edit it, if you're able to. Look right there at the top of page 9, number 20. Pupils are encouraged to wear their seatbelts.
it's state law for all kids to wear seatbelts, but it's not something that the state makes us enforce.
Board, the whole purpose of being an open meeting is so all of the conversation can be heard. Please, thank you. Whispering to one another is not helpful. No, I'm
We've told
not.
you that before. And we're not whispering.
So I just changed the word.
Their seatbelts are present, and then I would go on to say, if I understood correctly,
You want to bullet like this?
when students' feet are unable to reach the floor and/or any age of student is not compliant with bus safety rules, seatbelts will be required. Does that match your understanding of how I described it?
Yep.
Is that accurately? Good. Yeah, it's just better to have it spelled out and clear as we can possibly
Clear,
be.
yes, yeah, as we can, so parents understand. It's state law, but we do not have to enforce it. But as I went through my training, I see that it helps with a lot of behaviors instead of picking them up for us.
Yeah.
So if state law says it's required, if state law is required,
It's an unrequired mandate.
Yeah. And I asked that same question as well, Jody. I said,
So
the
it's
state law and why are we required to follow it? It's not something they can enforce on school buses.
so seatbelts are state law in passenger cars, in whatever, regular traditional passenger vehicles, but
Yes.
not on buses. Is that what I'm understanding?
That's how I understand it. Yes.
So we're not going against state law by
No.
this policy, though?
No. There is no state law that requires 3- and 4-year-olds to wear a seatbelt on a school bus unless that program is a federally funded program such as Easton. Which is absolutely ridiculous because 3-year-olds are this big sometimes. It's not safe in my experience, it is not safe.
So our passenger vans, they're gonna have to be required to wear seatbelts?
Yes. If they're riding in our school vehicles, they have to wear their seatbelts as well.
And Chris had mentioned if there's an accident, if everybody's locked in a seatbelt, you can't get
I was just concerned that if the bus driver has to unstrap all the students are all wearing seatbelts, I think that's a good idea.
As a bus driver, I have that same concern too.
Yeah. I mean, I like.
That's why I want the wording to be encouraged to wear them. If a child feels safe to wear them and they want to, and they can get in and out of it by themselves, absolutely, that's their choice. Young 3- and 4-year-old preschoolers that are sitting in the front seat of the bus, they're the closest to the driver. The driver will be able to get to them first to help them if there was a safety situation like that. Fortunately, Easton Valley District, we have a great driving record. The driver works here all year and never any problems. So, last year we experienced a lot of behaviors that maybe could have been settled down with a couple seatbelts. Just purely keeping them in their own space. Brains function differently. So sometimes just having that on them literally can calm a child who has STEM situations where they need that interaction.
I'll make a motion to approve the final reading of the board. Where am I? Staff and student handbook?
Yep.
Okay.
I'll second.
Updates to the staff and student handbook.
This is a motion by Jody, second by Chris, to approve the updates to staff and student handbooks per attachment or exhibit 5 with the addition of what we discussed tonight. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All
Hey,
opposed?
could you reread the motion a little bit louder? I think Joe had requested that. Can you hear what?
I make a motion to approve the updates to the staff and student handbooks.
Or exhibit 5 with the additional changes tonight.
Yes.
Yep, motion to approve all the staff and student handbooks that were presented, as presented per the changes that were discussed.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign, motion carries. Administrative reports. Oscar.
Yep, I've only got a couple things, guys. Two main things that I've listed that I've been working on are hiring and meetings is another big one. So music teacher, instructional coach, at-risk coordinator, so para positions. We should be filled with all of our positions are going to go. So we're sitting in good shape. Other thing I had listed, I've been meeting with several people, like instructional coach, Mrs. Hufford's came in and met. Jenny Cantor is the new music teacher. She's came in and wanted to get her boots on the ground and figure out the music room and show her. Erica just came in and met with me and started to talk about like some curriculum mapping and some things we'll do during PE with staff. So we've got a lot of those things started and in motion. And the only other big thing I have is I've been doing a lot of ordering materials and structuring teacher trainings and all of the things that have to be done throughout the year, working with multiple companies to get things on the calendar. If you're not proactive, you don't do that early, they just get booked up, and then it doesn't work like it should. So that is very time consuming, and I think a lot of people don't see. But I've been doing that quite a bit. So obviously, in elementary land, we have a lot of consumables and ELA, math, looking into what we purchased, what we need. So doing a lot of that good stuff. And the last thing that I kind of had listed was M-class and interventions. One of the things that we worked through significantly last year was interventions, and we were pretty good at identifying what kids are missing and what gaps. But then there was a lot of autonomy in teachers on how to do that, and we had some inconsistencies across grades, who was using what intervention resources, etc. So we've met with our interventionists throughout last school year often. We had meetings with Amplify before the end of the year. We had a couple virtual meetings in the summer with Mrs. Jump and Mrs. Hemley too. We've decided to purchase demos and interventions. And basically what that is it will literally script, so it'll be like an additional progress monitoring in a way, so kids will have to take a quick little minute long test, and then it will literally kick out the platform. Here's each groups of kids and who should be grouped together. Here's what they need. Here's how long they need it. And here's what you should use to give them the intervention based on what they're missing. So it's pretty nice. Obviously, if anything, there'll be a bit of a learning curve, but our interventionists were very gung-ho, like, yes, this is what we need. So that's something that I'm looking forward to. And Julia and Delma, they are actually going, they were going that way. I don't know if it was approved or not. But if they do end up going that way, that would be nice that we'll have a partner involved back and forth. Like, hey, here's the words, we will take help back and forth. That's been beneficial. So, yeah, those are the main things that I had listed. Anything else? Any questions for me? Thank you.
Performing arts summer band at potluck earlier this month. Looked like it was fun for them and continue to be throughout the week. Jen Eamer is also in our junior high school band teacher, is also going to be working with the sixth grade band people throughout the school year, so she'll come down here at the very end of the day for the whole music department down there. A few of us also cleaned out the PE closet in the gym and found a whole bunch of things from old musicals, plays, back sets, pulled it all out there, found a bunch of older electronic stuff that it's all sitting up on the stage right now that Mr. Pauly and Mr. Beamer were geeking out about some of the stuff they found there. So it was fun to spend through that and saw different things. It also freed up a ton of room and heard some things that weren't going to be used anymore.
Any headsets?
What's that?
Any headsets?
No headsets there, so multiple speakers. They had immediately pointed them up to Jen's electric guitar and stuff, and worked just fine. So I think they got some extra things to use there. I take that back. I think you did find some other ones or any mice or something.
Yeah.
It might have been the headsets, but there was a box or something that we haven't talked to him for a couple of weeks, so he's going to test it. So I had Miss Fitness bowling building all day today, working together, trying to plan for next year and how that's all going to shake out for them. County Fair starts next week, so it's going to be busy for them. Mr. E is also going to continue with the baseball at the summer fair. So I'm excited to be traveling back and forth for County Fair and State Fair and stuff to help since he's involved so that everyone school year here by it. Ms. Larson's still working on some hard work in the weight room and the teacher workroom. Should be done soon. Athletics, baseball, into the season 13-9, or second place in the conference. Finished the season with a close loss to North Team over each there. Softball finished 1-3, had a lot of closer scores as the season went on. So that was positive for them. Finished with a loss to Cal Week in their first week of play. Lots of stuff going on in the next week and a half before dead week. Football is at 5 scrimmage this Saturday. Volleyball is going to Kirkwood team camp tomorrow. Girls basketball is going to Wartburg team camp next week for a couple of days. And then the following week after that is a dead week across the state. So we'll be under contact with athletes. So that's a really good thing to take the stress off of a busy summer that a lot of our high school athletes have been in. I wanted to thank Marcia Scott for all her work. She's really amazing. Just stuff, organizing, talk stuff, all our stuff throughout the summer. So they did a great job of that and helps out tremendously, including things with all these handbooks. So as soon as this one's passed, just start next year's version of it too. We kind of update and take notes on things throughout the year, so it's very on top of everything. Just gearing up for the first student day of August 25th, which I can't believe is right around the corner, but it's here. First new teacher day, one of those days on August 15th, on Friday. Bring anybody reading in our building, we only have one. James is more than that. First staff day is the 18th. First parent day is the 21st. Just wanted to give you my last thing. I just wanted to give you a heads up that next month, if we have our school board meeting on the 20th, like I think we probably will, I will not be able to be in attendance. I'll send my notes to Chris. I am attending the basic training graduation.
That's it? That's all. All right. I just had a couple updates. One thing though I just wanted to share is my gratitude for getting to work with such great staff. It's something, summer is a time to kind of decompress and catch your breath and reflect a little bit. And I've just been reflecting lately, and I've never, felt as optimistic and positive and just, ready to tackle, the upcoming school year as I do this summer. And the reason why is because I truly get to work with great people, and a lot of them are in this room right now. A lot of the other people, like our secretaries, our custodial staff, like transportation, there's so much focus on what happens between 8 and 3 and what happens during the school year. It's all those times that are required when people know if you're there, you're not there. But things get quiet in the summer, and we have staff that are working hard, from the minute they're supposed to be there until the minute that they are supposed to leave. They're here, they're present, they're on the clock routinely. I can't tell you how many mornings this summer I get a 6:30 a.m. text from Mr. Daniels with some questions. I'm like, man, it's the summertime. But he's grinding and working hard. Mr. Cruzy's texted me last night at 8:30 on some handbook things, and so it just shows that it is expected that you're there when you're supposed to be there. But when people are putting in the work, when nobody's really got their thumb on them, or they're not expected to, but they're grinding, that's the difference between good schools and great schools. And I feel really fortunate to work with people that I think are investing the time and effort into making our schools great. Coming in this morning into the parking lot, I've got to stop because we got a marching band walking across the gravel lot behind the school. Teachers are still engaging with kids in our extracurriculars. Students are still engaged in school programs in the summer months, and we just have great things going on year round. And school's not just an 8 or 9 month thing in schools like we have, which I think are great schools and a great district to be a part of. Also really enjoyed the experience that I had in the last 2 days where we had our principals, counselors, and at-risk staff engaged in some intensive training around bullying, harassment, discrimination, prevention. We had Mrs. Collister, Mr. Daniels, Mr. Cruzy, our counseling staff, and Mr. Irwin. We did a lot of refresher training on how to identify, prevent, and investigate any type of bullying, harassment, discrimination type of concerns that come to our attention. Last month you all approved a new commitment that we invested in. It was a 4-year commitment where we're going to continue to get that training, to get that support, but we're going to be taking it to another level where we're going above and beyond to educate our entire staff, not just us, but do a deep dive with this same type of training with our whole staff, and then also with our students and with our parents. And so those are new things that you'll see rolling out as the school year approaches. I have a follow-up training or a follow-up meeting with our trainer tomorrow morning where we're going to talk about our implementation plans, and then we're going to be meeting again with our school-specific teams to talk about what we're doing to take these next steps for educating our staff, parents, and students as the school year approaches. So it was really good stuff. Some of us have had it before. Some of it was a lot of new information for newer staff, but It's really good things to do, and I think it's going to go a long way in helping to create a safe and welcoming environment for everybody that's associated with our schools. So appreciate the board support and things like that that help us to stay on the proactive side of preventing a lot of those things and being on top of our responsibilities if and when those things do arise. So it was 2 full days that we engaged in, so I appreciate our staff and carved out time to be a part of that. That's all that I have for you this evening.
Thank you. Set next board meeting date. You have the 21st on here, Chris?
Yeah, let's reevaluate that, Craig. Third Monday, we're looking at August 18th for our next regular board meeting. August 18th.
Oh, Monday?
Oh, sorry.
20th.
Let's go with the 20th. Thank you, Craig. It used to be Monday.
At 6 o'clock.
6 p.m. Yes, sir.
Is there a motion for that?